Hi, this is going to be my tutorial on how I join my legs together for my bear pattern. You can use this for thinner legs, whatever size legs you want to use this for, but you're either seeing this as a link from my bear pattern or just posted on my YouTube channel for everybody to learn from. But these are my two bear legs so far. So I've got one with a very long tail, because this tends to create a little bit of gap and I don't like that, so I cut a long tail when I finish off the first leg so that I can use it later to sew in the leg. So this second leg that I made, I haven't cut off from the ball of yarn. It's still attached. I've done the leg and then chained 4. You can chain as many as you want depending on how wide you want the gap to be. For this size of the bear, it's 4 chains. So I have, because I want there to be an additional 8 stitches, we'll be working on each side of the chain if that helps you. So we want to keep this long strand in our hand that's still attached to the ball of yarn and work over this long strand that we left for sewing gaps. So we're going to skip this one. This is the last stitch. We're going to go into this next one and just single crochet. 1, 2, 3 is what I typically do. And then I take this other one, because it can be a little confusing at this point, and just put it into leg 1 for now to get out of my way. Make sure you push it out of the way and continue single crocheting around. So I'm going to finish around leg 1 real quick. All right, so where we joined, just so you know, this is what that would look like. So this is the stitch that we joined on, and you see this is where it creates a little bit of a gap that we'll go through and fix later. Once you get to the end of leg 1, you'll see you want to make sure it's not wrapped around. We're going to be working, you want this little bump from the chains to be facing up. This is the first stitch that we inserted right here, and we're going to go into just one loop of the chain and single crochet into the next 3 chains. We'll do the same thing, one loop only. Okay, and so it looks like this, right? And we're still got some loops back here to work with, and we got those bumps on the inside of our work. Okay, now you want to make sure that leg 2 is straight and nothing is curled around itself, right? So this is what it should look like if it's not. Pretty good transition here. You can see, you can follow the top chains if you need to. But you see this one's already been worked in, so we're going to ignore this stitch here and work into the next one. And just go around leg 2. All right, so this is my last stitch of leg 2, and now we've got, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 chains. We're just going to go into this top loop and single crochet across each top loop. And for that will be the end. Ooh, let's get in there. And that will be the end of that round as you join. So this is how it looks underneath, but you can see some of these gaps through here and through here, which is why we left that long tail. We'll come through and sew those a little tighter later. I go all the way to the end of just my solid rounds, so like just single crochet rounds before I introduce any invisible decreases, because it just is easier for me to see later on. But you can go 5 to 10 rounds, whatever you would like, maybe even 3 depending on how short your piece is, and just go back through and make sure you sew those gaps, because we don't want those holes if we're trying to sew a piece, right? And so the next one is going to be just like you would in the top of this stitch. You see this next V, and it should be easy from here on out. Once you figure out where to place your hook on these, I do 1, 2, 3, and I take my stitch marker, mark 3 stitches back, and that will mark the beginning of my next round. And you can, from here, it's just single crochet rounds for the rest of my pattern until we get to the next part. But I'm gonna go ahead and do those, and I will come back and show you how I sew those gaps shut. All right, I'm back. I finished my rows, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn my work inside out real quick so I can sew these gaps closed. All right, so as you can see, let me show you an example of the gaps. You want to get rid of that. See my fingers through? It's on both sides. So let me move this lamp a little closer. Go ahead and take my yarn needle. And let's move this out of the way. I want to finish that. I'm over here. Bring my needle over here. All right. So I just kind of work around the edges and bring them a little closer together. Okay. See the gaps right underneath my needle right now. Trying to fill in some of that with some what might look like stitching. First glance. Oops. Sorry for hitting the camera there. I don't have a weighted tripod, so I have to kind of keep it down with my arms and stuff, but one more across this way, I think, for this side, and then bring it up. Just kind of going back and forth and around, and you see that gap is a lot more, or is a lot harder to see compared to this one. So now I'm gonna bring my thread up here. You see I have such a long tail. Put a little bit more give there. Switch it around. Go down through here. Start tightening these up. Start going back and forth across this bit because it is looser than the other side was. Pick up just a couple stitches. All right, and then sometimes, because I have extra tail, I just go through and sew like gaps like this one a little bit smaller. You can look for them if you want. Like, there's a bigger gap on this side. I'm just gonna bring my thread over here. See, this one is a little bit. All right. And now I'm going to sew in my ends. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 and a half over, up, three and a half back, up, and this one doesn't matter where you end. And then you can cut this. I'm going to. You don't have to. And then you just flip it back side out before you continue working on your project. But that is how I join my legs together. So this is what I've got so far for this bear body. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments. This bear pattern will be coming out soon. I'll be posting about testers really soon. I just want to make sure this is out so that the testers have it to work on, but I hope, like, even on your own personal projects, this was helpful, because when I learned this information, it really is transferable to a lot of different projects. Alright, if you watched, thank you so much for watching, and if you are coming from my pattern, thank you so much for using my bear patterns. Alright, happy crafting. Bye!